Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I think we just about ready to start. I'm going to hand over to Henry van der Merwe, who will open the session and lead the discussions from there. Over to you, Henry.
Thank you, Vishal. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining. As you know, SAPRA always tries to assist the fuel retailers in operations and whatever needs to be. And, you know, February is not just the month of love, it's also the month of license renewals. And therefore, Marika and Vishal arranged a session where the Department of Mineral and Resources and Energy will assist us and give us a brief rundown of what needs to be done. And we've got the Deputy Director, License Analysis, Zanel Chowki, assisting us. So welcome, everybody, and welcome to the department. We're very glad to have them online and to assist us. And I'm then therefore going to hand over to Zanel to do the presentation for us. And as you know, in the chat box, we can ask the questions. I think there's a lot of questions. How to hand it in? Can't we do it online? Why not? Etc. Etc. And what happens if you don't get a message to pay? How does that work? How do you know if you're outstanding? All that type of things. And I think those questions will be answered by the department. But I'm handing over to the department to give us a presentation, and you can ask the questions. Thank you.
Sorry, just before we hand over to Zanel, just from a meeting protocol point of view, I know the instruction was on the screen earlier on, but please, if we could all mute and save your questions for after the meeting. Alternatively, you can raise your questions in the chat box. Towards the end of the meeting, we will open up the opportunity for all questions to be answered. That's the hand-raising process. And of course, we will also filter through the questions that are in the chat box as well. Without further ado, let's pass over to Zanel. Zanel, over to you.
Good morning to all the retailers in SAPRA. Thank you so much for the invitation so that we can engage with them retailers. As it was indicated.
I'm sorry to intervene. We cannot hear clearly. Sorry about that.
Okay, let me try my volume and try my voice. Am I audible now?
Much better, thank you.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you. Good morning again. I'm Zanele Chauke. So today I will be presenting with regard to annual submission and annual fee payment. So the annual submission doesn't have to come, you don't have to wait until the end of February. You can start bringing your annual submissions so that you can skip the queue. There are no queues now, honestly, but I know if you want to wait and come last day of the month, there will be a lot of queues. So I'm going to take you through the presentation. Ms. Mofokeng, Director Petroleum Licenses, was supposed to join us for this presentation. However, she has other management engagement that she's currently attending to. Hopefully, she will find us while we all here. So I'm going to take you through the presentation overview. We'll be telling you the reason why the Office of the Petroleum Controller exists. And as well, I will take you through the information that is required for the annual submission, as well as the revenue collection, which is the annual fee payment. and also to provide you with the contact details of our regional offices, where you will have the email address of the regional director, their energy officers, as well as their office address, and I will take questions thereafter. So the mandate of the Office of the Controller is to implement. Is to implement the Petroleum Product Amendment Act. And as well, we need to manage the adjudication of the manufacturing, wholesaling, and retail of petroleum product licenses as prescribed in the Act. And we also facilitate the development of small business in the petroleum and liquid fuels industry by rendering advice on license processes in line with the licensing objective. Also, we monitor the transformation of the industry. So we also process the annual information of the licensed retailers, which today we will only talk to the last part of our mandate. So each year by February, the licensed retailer is required in terms of the regulation to submit their annual information. You will need to complete your DMRE 33. Yes, we have changed the department. We are now Department of Mineral and Petroleum Resources. However, we are still in a process of changing our application forms. So we're still currently using the previous form, which is DMRE 33. We have provided the forms to SAPRA. I'm sure they have already shared that with you. You complete the form, and you also, with your form, you need to provide a written declaration to state that the ownership of the license activity has not changed. If the license activity has changed, you will also declare that in writing. Thereafter, you will need to do a separate application where you will apply for the amendment of your license in terms of the changes that have taken place in the license activity. If as well the changes that has been effected, it's because the majority shareholding of the business has changed, therefore you will be required to apply for a retail change of hands. And you are also required to provide the volumes of each type of petroleum product sold during the financial year. And as well, you need to provide us with the list of number of employees by race, gender, and disability. And you also need to provide the progress and updated plan in terms of the compliance with the objective of the charter. So this is where you indicate to us in terms of ownership and in terms of control. You indicate your historically disadvantaged South African as described in the charter. We also require a report on the number of employees that have been trained, where you need to indicate the title of the qualification that the employees have obtained, as well as the accreditation by SAPA. Also, you need to declare that the retailing activity is not held directly or indirectly by a licensed wholesaler. So this, you do your packaging and you submit to your respective regional office. And coming to annual payments, so in terms of our regulation 22.3b, it requires that the license retailer must pay annual license fee of 500. The annual license fee is due on the anniversary of the license. I know we receive a lot of queries with regard to the anniversary of the license. The license that you have, which were issued 2025, I will say which were issued September 2025 backwards. The license, it says the date of issue, it's reflected on your license. The date of issue on your license, it's not actually the date of your anniversary. So the date of your anniversary, it's the date where you physically collected the license in the department. So we have that date on our system. So if you see that your date of issue, we will say it's January 2025, and you are not receiving your letter for payment, it's because you might have collected your license in June 2025. Therefore, your anniversary will be June 2026. Currently, we have amended our certificate. Now it will show date printed instead of date of issue, because that's where there was a bit of confusion. For the past years, we were not charging interest on outstanding license fee. And in terms of Treasury regulation and the finding from AG, we are required that we charge interest on the debt that is owed to the state. So if you have any outstanding license fee, you will see on your letter that it will indicate if you have a debt to us. If not, it will show zero balance on the interest charged. So this was implemented in April 2025. So it has been effective since last year, 2025. And this is actually the end of my presentation. I've made it very short so that I can give you enough time to ask questions and engage us. So also these are the contact details of our regional office. I think the slide will be shared with you after the presentation. So we have our 9 regional offices. I've also provided their direct email so that you can email them and engage them if you need to physically go to them offices. I've also provided their physical address and the contact numbers as well. I think they were on the previous slide. We can still share with that, but I think email is much safer to send and be responded to your queries. Thank you. That's the end of my slide.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Zanel. Short and sweet. Lots of very pertinent information, especially the new development in terms of, interest being charged, etc., etc. But be that as it may, there are questions that are coming through. I see there are hands raised already. Let's take the first one. William, over to you. Please unmute. Yeah.
Yes, it's Zelda.
Hi, Zelda.
Thank you. Normally, where the problem is coming in when we need to make payment on our anniversary is when we don't have that certain reference number. They request us to pay to link to your account. We never received an email to say this would be your reference number. Please do make a payment. And then November will come and they will put this messages to you that's really the emails that's really not in a nice way to say you didn't pay, you behind. But where do we get the reference numbers and who do we contact? Because to phone there, there's just never an answer. Then you need to go to Pretoria to fetch it again.
Yeah, it's a very valid question. Zanel, straight over to you. You want to respond to that one?
Thank you for the question. And honestly, I know this has been a challenge with regard to the invoices being sent out. I will also want to appeal with our retailers to ensure that we have your correct email address on our system. What we have also noted in terms of sending emails, most of the retailers who have used consultant when they were applying for the license for the very first time, the email address which is reflected there, it is of your consultant. So you need to ensure that we have the correct email address if you are no longer using the services of the consultant. And what you can do as well, if you did not receive your invoice, which will indicate the reference number that you need to use, you can email directly to the regional office. They will provide you with the email address of all relevant officials in the regional office so that it can be easier for you. Also to emphasize with regard to the reference number, yes, you also need to use the correct reference number, because if you use incorrect reference number, your annual fee will not be allocated correctly, and you will still receive messages that you did not pay. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not sure. Are you answered there satisfactorily? Yep. You've got your hand raised again. Please come through.
Sorry, we cannot hear when she's speaking. We can hear you, Vijal, very clearly. I can hear now what she's saying, but the problem is still coming in. Who do we contact? Do we still need to go to then, say, from Kempton Park or Woodbank or whatever, to go to Pretoria to fetch that reference number because they don't reply on your emails? They don't send invoices out. They don't take the phones. So this is where we're sitting. I see Natasha request here a question. Is the reference number not a retail license number? No, it's not. They're giving you a very long number that you need to put in there, but they don't provide that number till they sending out very harsh emails to tell you you did not make a payment to them.
Zanel, responding to that, I can see what the challenge is on your side, you've got a database of information that's provided. And on the other side, you've got, yeah. So is there a unique reference number that can be, I see some of the questions coming through on the chat box. Is there a way of identifying a unique number so that at least there's a way to link it back, a unique number that's identifiable in both sides? I see one of the questions was, can it not be your license number? Zanel?
Okay. I'm sorry if my voice is not that loud. I have a very soft voice. The more I want to try to speak louder, the more it goes down. So I will try to balance myself. So last year, what we have done, we have tried to change the way how we generate the annual fee reference number. Currently, we have implemented, when we were implementing the interest rate, we have made it easier that you use your license number to pay for your renewal fee. And what we will do, we will just allocate it to the correct year. As long as you use your license number, then we will be able now to allocate it to your invoice. So previously, I know the reference number used to change every year, but currently it's your license number.
Okay, so I guess that answers a number of questions included in the chat box regarding a unique number and a way of making sure that your payment is being allocated to your account. Let's take the next hand. Uh, Let me see. In order, Stefan Kruger.
Good morning, all. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, good morning. My question is related to the charter, compliance of the charter. Is it possible for you guys to put a specific link to that charter? And what in that charter must retail sites comply with? I've asked at our local DME and nobody seems to know. Every year you must fill in that compliance and train people, but you can only train so much people so many times. So, I mean, what else can you do? What is the scope of the charter? Nobody seems to know that retail sites have to comply with in the end or whenever. When will there be an audit? What will the audit be? Can she advise on that, please?
Thank you. I think that's a very valid question. We get a number of queries on that particular aspect of license compliance. So Zanel, yeah, please, if you could give some sense of direction in terms of where members can go with the request on alignment with the charter, please.
Okay, thank you. So, with regards to the compliance with the charter, I've touched a bit more on the ownership and control. We have different aspect elements with the compliance of the charter, which on the retail side, you need to comply with the control, ownership, skills development, and procurement. So if you check where I say that you will need to provide the volumes of products that have been sold on site, that will cover your procurement part of the element. And in terms of skills development, that's where you will indicate the training that has been provided to your employees. I hear your question where you say that you've been training your employees and how far can you go to do that? Remember, when training has not occurred, you also indicate that the training that you have provided, you feel that there is no skill gaps in your employees, or you do not have to train all your old employees. It can be training of the new employees that have recently joined the business. In terms of control, control is the directors of the retailing activity. So you need to indicate, you need to indicate to us that you are still in compliant, that at least 25% control of the business is held by historically disadvantaged South African. And in terms of ownership, which is management, shareholders of the company, you also need to ensure that your business is still in compliant with the at least 25% ownership by the historically disadvantaged South African. So that's how we look at the scope of the compliance with charter in terms of retailing activity. I hope that has answered the question.
Stefan, I see you've got your hand up again. I'm sure that's a response. Please come in.
Yeah, it is. I understand. Thank you for explaining the training and stuff. But one thing I didn't know is that with the control directors and so, if you don't have, excuse me, 25% previously disadvantaged directors or percentage, does that mean you are not in compliance? Or does the other, if you are in compliance with the other factors that can make you compliant? That's what I'm actually trying to ask. Where can you see you are compliant or not compliant?
Okay, so in terms of control and ownership, remember we have conversion license applications that were done in 2006. Thereafter, each person who was applying, they were automatically had to comply with the charter. So for the conversion applicant, you were deemed to be a license holder. So if you do not have 25% historically disadvantaged individuals, it's because your license was deemed because you were operating before the act. So what we require of you is you can tell us the plans that you have to advance to the charter. But if you do not have those plans as yet, it does not mean you do not comply. What will happen in a case where now you want to apply for another retail license, then you will be required for the new license to comply. But because you are deemed on the first license, therefore, that one was exempted.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I understand now.
You covered, Stefan.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
fantastic. I'm going to keep the order. I know you went off and came back on, so you lost your number one position, but over to Haroon. Haroon, your question, please.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm from an Estron Energy site in Witbank. The anniversary for my license was supposed to be November 2025 when I needed to renew. So I sent an email to the normal email addresses, November, December, January, and I just sent one now for February. I still haven't gotten a response. So now I'm going to be liable for interest payments. Who can I contact for immediate assistance? Please, thank you.
Zanel, over to you there. I think you've got that, yeah.
Thank you, sir. I will also want to apologize with regard to the. I think someone is
Sorry,
talking.
someone needs to be muted. Okay, let's try again, Zanel.
Okay. We I know with regard to the annual invoice, there was a bit of delay, which was resulted in us modifying the system because we wanted to implement the new reference number, which will now be your license number, as well as changing the letter, which will indicate whether you have outstanding debt or not. So there was a bit of delay. I know around November, the letters were generated, and they might have been sent to the regional offices during December or early January this year. For Northwest regional offices, please send an email to Paul Viamantate. You can see on the screen, and she will respond to you. I know she responds a bit faster. She's going to respond to your email. And with regard to interest charge, for 2025, the interest now, we will not charge you interest because the letter will have been generated on time on the system on our side. So there will be no interest because of the delay of invoice. The interest will only be charged if in this case the payment is not done for the whole of 2026, and then that's where we will see you will see the implementation of interest. But I get your question that you are worried if we delay to give you the letter, it will affect interest. But now the letters have been generated, they are out. You can send to Paulvia. She will respond to your email. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. I think, sorry,
Sorry, man.
Stefan.
I'm not in the northwest or North Cape. Could you please just go to the slide for the Mpumalanga emails? Sorry, man. I just want to get them down. Apologies.
Okay, there we go.
I'm
Yeah,
going to Mpumalanga. So Mpumalanga, you can email to Sponono and Lesego.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you. Noted.
Yeah, I think while we're doing that, if we could maybe add the contact details into the chat box, then everyone has access to it. Because Zanel, you've got it on 2 or 3 slides here. Is it 2 slides or 3 slides? The contact details.
Yes.
Yeah. If you can, maybe paste it. Mariki, you want to come through with a suggestion?
Yeah, Michelle, I will send it out to everyone. I've got it, and it is on the chat as well.
Okay.
But I will send it out.
All right,
as well.
fantastic. Thank you very much. That's an easier way for everyone to access it. It's already on the chat. So if you just scroll through the chat, you'll see it is located in the chat. The entire presentation is there as well. Next question, Heino Neff, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yes, I just want to make sure about something. So it's a little bit of an extension on the questions regarding the licenses. So out of our 36 locations, we received a total of 3 for payment for last year. I just want to make sure, as a retailer, what can we do on our side to keep our hands clean, in a sense, and to stay compliant while we wait for the acknowledgement of receipt, because we have to send in now the licenses for this year, but we still have 33 in backlog, because I don't want a controller or some other representative maybe pitching at one of our locations telling us that we can't trade or our license is suspended because we haven't paid the license. I'm just using that as an example. So I just want to know, should we just keep our proof of submission every time, or what can we do as retailers to just have our house in order while there's a backlog?
Very valid questions, Zanel.
Okay. I think I will answer that, I think in 2, because we also talking about annual information submission, right?
Yes.
Okay. So in terms of annual information submission, when you go to the regional office, it's either they will capture your annual information submission immediately, depending on the busiest in the region. I know Gauteng, they don't capture immediately because it's too busy. When they capture, you will receive a letter which indicates that you have submitted your annual information for 2024. If not, they will give you an acknowledgement letter which will indicate that you have submitted your annual information, signed by our energy officer. So you keep that as your proof that you have submitted your annual information submission. You can as well, I think, because you're saying you have 36 sites, maybe try to engage each and every region and you provide them with all your license numbers to make sure that on the system they have the correct email address, because you might find that they have captured, but the email address that they have is incorrect, and those letters will have been sent to that email. So please verify that your email address are still correct, as well as when it comes to the invoices. I want to emphasize that you make sure that your email address is correct. Thank you.
Okay. Heino, are you covered?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, fantastic. I don't see any more hands raised at the moment. I'm going to look at some of the comments coming through in the chat. Retail change of hands, license applications take years to complete. Okay, where can we see if we are up to date with the annual fee? There's a question, where can we see if we are up to date with the annual fee? And that's a question by Heini Boshoff. Zanel?
Okay. For you to see if you have paid all your annual fee, you send the email to the region and you request them to send you the invoice. So the invoice will indicate if you have settled all your annual fees. So just request for that invoice to see. Then our system is able to do that now since we have upgraded it. Thank you.
Okay, Henny, I hope that answers your question. I've got another hand. Heino, over to you.
Yes, thank you. I just thought of another question. So we've got a few sites. I believe we did the change of hands application as a result of the names of the entities that also changed. But we've still got about 17 that are outstanding on appeal. My question is, if the appeal outcome hasn't come through yet, should I still submit the information on the previous name before the change of hands occurred? I just want to make sure about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a very valid question. So what you need to do continuously, you will do your annual information submission with the current licensed retailer while you're waiting for the appeal. So the annual submission should be the name of the entity which is appearing on the license that you still have now. Then you will start submitting for the new change of hands once it's issued.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, Heino, you covered. Ursula, you've got a hand up. Unmute.
Unmute.
There we go. You're good now. I can hear you.
Okay. I'm the retail dealer of Kubuk Service Station. My husband has passed on and he was part of a directorship. I just want to know if there is changes made, what must I do?
You director.
Because my son is now director in his place, in the shares. Is there any information what I must do about that? But I'm the retail, I've got a retail license. So if you can just assist me.
Okay, it's a good question. Yeah, Zanel?
I would like clarity before I answer. So you're saying that you are a retailer?
Yeah, I am.
And then your husband was also a retailer or the landowner?
Yeah, the business owner also.
So he was on the retail business with you, on the
No,
entity
no.
that applied for the retail license?
It was only me.
Okay.
It was only me.
So he was part of the site license?
No, he wasn't part of, yeah, he's part of the site license, which is the property.
Okay. So on the retail license, because you were the only director and the shareholder, then there is no change in retailing activity. So in terms of the property, which is a site license, your son now has inherited the land, the property. Then you will be required to apply for a site transfer. Remember, a site license, you do not submit annual submission and you also do not pay for annual fee. Only retailers do annual submission and annual fee.
Yeah, I understand that, yes. But this Kubuk Service Station is the operational part of the business. So we have changed the directorship between myself and my son in the shares.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Are you still part of the
Yes, I'm
directors?
Yes, yes, I am.
Okay, so you need to apply for an amendment of the license. So you will
Letters.
write a letter
Mhm.
stating the changes that has happened in the company. You attach your company registration documents, and you also attach the identity documents of all the directors. You attach the share certificate and the shareholders agreement, and you submit it to the relevant regional office. Then we will process your amendment.
Okay. Okay, thank you for letting me know that. I appreciate.
Okay, thank you, Ursula. That's a great question, and I'm sure it provided a lot of information for all other participants in the meeting as well, especially on that topic, amendment of license. Caller, you had a hand up, Caller Bosman. You want to come through?
Yes, thank you, Vishal. My question was basically the same as for Ursula, and I think I actually received my answer there. Thank you very much.
Okay, fantastic. You covered. All right, I don't see any more hands up. I'll continue to look at the questions in the chat box. We need to pay with a certain reference number. Okay, we covered there. It was mentioned that annual license certificate is to be collected from the office. I think there's a question mark there. Could you provide some clarity on that? It was mentioned that annual license certificate is to be collected from the office. Zanel?
Okay. We do not issue new certificate after you have paid for your annual license fee. The license that you have been issued with the first time, it's a permanent license. You just do your annual payment fee and your annual submission. If you have lost or your certificate is damaged, you need to apply for a duplicate license. We do not reissue the license during annual license fee. Thank you.
Okay, Caller, you covered? Yeah. We have received a letter saying pay for 2025. That's an interesting one. Should they write back to the department? Is it incorrect, Zanel?
No, it's not incorrect because it is license fee for 2025 unless if the retailer has already paid for 2025 and they are receiving another letter which might have come because we have reprinted the letters. So if you did pay already for 2025, kindly email the proof of payment to the relevant regional office and ignore the second letter. Thank you.
Okay. Total Wonderboom, very valid question. How do we update our information? We change it on our submission, but it never gets updated. So basically, in their submission, when they update contact details, etc., it's not being updated. So now, any response to that?
Okay. I know we have been. I've received so many people who have indicated to me that during annual information, they have indicated that their contact details have changed and all that. I would like to humble request that when you change your contact details, you change your email address, can you write us a separate letter so that we can process that? Because in terms of annual submission, as I've indicated, we have a bit of a backlog, so that might be captured a bit later. So rather you send a separate letter requesting for the email address and your postal address to be changed or your contact number. You can still continue doing that during annual submission, but please do a separate letter so that it can be captured faster. Thank you and apology for that.
Okay, no, that's fine. Zelda, you want to come through again? I see you've got a hand raised. Zelda? Zelda, you there? You need to unmute.
Oh, sorry, I'm talking. Okay. On page, sorry, I'm on my paperwork. It says indicate title and qualifications obtained by the employees. I understand that one. But is that the same thing on page, seems page number 4 or 5? It says there, progress and an updated plan in respect of compliance with the object in the charter. When Heine was also asking the same question. So is that basically the training that was done by our tenants? Because like a firefighting certificate is valid for 2 years. The medical certificate or the what you call it, first aid certificate is also valid for 2 years. So in that 2 years, if no training was done, no new employees was employed by us, I mean, what do you send? Do you just resend it and see that everything is still valid? Do we need to send the certificates with it? If you can just give us clarification on that.
Zanel, I think
Yes.
it's a simple question. If you
Yeah.
got certification valid for 2 years, does it still carry weight?
Yes, because remember the certificate is valid for 2 years, so there's no need for the person to undergo training. So if you also did not train anyone in this financial year, then you indicate that training were not conducted because the previous certificates are still valid for maybe the next 2 years or the next three years. And there's a difference in terms of progress update in terms of the compliance with the charter. So the training, it's yes, part of the element. The progress, this is where now it comes and say that because during a conversion, you were deemed to be a licensed retailer, even though we knew that you were not in compliance, especially with control and ownership. This is where you can indicate to the controller if you have any plans or if you have as well have a progress on how you will comply with the charter. That does not mean that your license is not in compliant. It is in compliant. Just that if you want to apply for a new license, you will be required to be in compliant with the charter. Thank you.
Okay, Zelda, I see you've got your hand up again. It's a response, right? You can come through. You muted again, Zelda.
Oh my word. Okay, that's the question I wanted to ask. Like she said now, and the progress and updated plan. So if nothing has changed on your site and everything is still in order, nothing is just a new license that we need to do for a annual license that we need to do. So I need to know then number 3 won't apply then to our site. In other
Yes.
words. Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
it's
That's
not
what I want.
applicable,
So
so
I
you
don't
don't
need to
have
submit
to-
anything there.
No,
Okay,
if
thank you
there
so
are not
much.
any progress or update, then you don't submit anything into that effect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I see we have another hand from Heino. Heino, you gonna come through?
Hi, yes, Vishal. Just confirmation on the training aspect again. So, if I understand correctly, so it's if the training was not completed in the last financial year, I don't have to relist the training of 2024. It's just new training that was completed in 2025 that I need to complete. Otherwise, I would just write the statement that no, the training received in the past is still valid or something like that.
Yes, you will just put that statement to indicate that the training that was done maybe in 2023, it's still valid. The certificate were valid for 2 years or 3 years. So you don't have to relist everyone.
Okay, thank you so much.
That's
Thank you.
very useful information that for all retailers in attendance today is that your certificate validity actually has value. There are some questions, Anel, in the chat box that I'm looking at. Is the reference number for payment our retail license number? I think we've answered that previously. I have changed the email addresses on the forms. Okay, you must send a direct email in addition to the document that you send in so that they can alter your address details. What is the waiting period for receiving the certificate after payment has been made? I'm not sure you covered that, Sanal.
Maybe this, I will answer it in two ways. If it's the first certificate that needs to be issued after they've applied for a license, after the conditions have been met, we currently, Vishal, Bitomelo has just joined us.
Fantastic.
And I think she will be answering some of the questions.
Okay, fantastic.
We're currently printing once a month certificates. So you might find that you will have paid today. Your certificate might not be available today, but you can get it maybe month end or the first week of March.
Okay, fantastic. Next question, Carrie Ann. I have requests since the beginning of last year for a copy of our retail license. We have even been to the office in East London and they promised to send, but nothing at all. And have not received any invoice either. Nobody answers the phone, nor emails. Zanel, anyone in particular she can contact?
East London, they can contact Matabo Mutlonyane and Siyabonga Magobongo.
Okay, and those contact details are in the chat box. So certainly you can access that. A question from Louis. There is no charter. I guess it's a comment. There is no charter. Zanal, you want to respond to that? Or Boitumelo, welcome as well.
I think this one we have addressed it through the question where we were asked about compliance with the charter, unless if Louis would like to rephrase the question, because I think it's the issue of compliance with the charter.
Okay, Louis, you have an opportunity to come through. If you want to expand on your comment, you've got a comment here. There is no charter. You want to come through? Okay, looks like Louis might not be here. Let's move on. A question from Gwen. Aren't it possible to receive the retail license online or emailed?
No. The only way, if you are unable to get to the regional office, you can send your courier services to collect on your behalf. The reason why we can't send it via email, it's because you need to display it as well on site. It's either your original license certificate or your certified copy. So if we email it, you won't be able to certify, and you really need to have your original certificate with you.
Okay, so that goes back to authenticity. Okay, no, that's fine. Thank you. Another question from Gwen. Last year, we received a letter reflecting an amount of 500. This year, however, our letter states that we are outstanding and need to pay 1,583.77. I have requested a recon, but have not received any feedback as yet. I guess we can refer that to the same person. No?
Yes, so this one, I think you need to engage the person who have sent you the invoice. They will be able to send you a recon statement to see what has transpired. Sometimes you might find that you have really paid for this 1.5, but because the reference number might have been incorrect, also include your proof of payments so that they can allocate it for you.
Okay, fantastic. I've got another question from Louis. I have an approved change of hands application, which is lying in Pretoria, but not being physically provided. How can that process be expedited?
I have an approved change of hands application, which is lying in Pretoria. So he's referring to a license, I guess, on this one.
Mhm.
Maybe can we request that Louis send us an email so that we can see what are the issues and if all conditions have been met for the license, because we will not issue the license if the conditions are not met. So can Louis please send us email address?
Okay,
Email.
an email. Fantastic. Yeah, Louis, if you are listening in on this, please raise your concerns in an official email to Zanel, and she'd like to understand a bit more in terms of the detail so that she's able to deal with it. Let's move over to Natasha. The application must be hand-delivered courier to the regional office and not emailed. Just clarify that if you don't mind.
Yes, it has to be couriered or hand-delivered. We do not accept application through email.
Okay, fantastic. A simple question, where do we send the proof of payment? Maybe just once again confirm that.
You send the proof of payment to your respective regional office. The email address of the respective regional offices have been provided.
Okay, fantastic. A question from Brandstoff. Can we do a bulk payment for all our sites once a year, as the reference will change now, or does it still need to wait for the site anniversary? Bulk payment.
You cannot do a bulk payment because each license has its own license number. So we will not know how to allocate that. So you will need to pay for each license number. And saying that, yes, you can wait for your anniversary so that it's allocated. You can also pay upfront. Then your balance will just be carried forward.
Okay, thank you. I see in response to that, Heino's raised his hand. Heino, you gonna come through?
Hi guys, sorry. I'm actually glad we are talking through a lot of things. So now there's another question coming up. I just want to ask a logistical question. As I mentioned before, that we are still waiting for outcome of some appeals. Now, we did get a successful outcome of one of our appeals, and obviously it said it's subject to certain conditions, but or just basically to follow the regulations and such. But then it says we must obviously pay the annual fee for the retail license. Now, this would be now in the new entity's name. I just want to know from my side, because I can assume that even before I started working here, the change of hands application was already handed in. Is there something that I need to do from my side now to get the retail license in the new entity's name, or will that be processed automatically and they will send us the reference number to make the payment? Or is there something from my side I must do or contact someone just to confirm that?
Okay, yes, for the 3 appeals that you have received, you will need to contact the regional office to give you a payment letter, which you need to pay for those licenses. And if there are any other condition that you need to meet, you need to meet those conditions and submit those documentations. Therefore, they will issue your license. And with regard to the annual fee, because the license for the new retailer, it's not yet issued, so you will still pay with the old license number.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, it's not going to happen from on its own. I need to contact the regional office first.
Yes, please contact the regional office to request the payment letter for the 3 outcome.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Brandstoff, I know you did put your hand up in response to that question. Would you like to come through and maybe seek the clarity you needed, or are you covered?
Hi, Vishal.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I think I just got my wording a bit wrong there.
Okay.
What I meant with bulk payment was, let's say, January of each year, I do a payment obviously separately for each of the sites, but I do it once a year, and I know that I'm sorted for the rest of that specific financial year or calendar year, as they do it. So it was just a bit of incorrect wording there on my side. Not a bulk payment as in one, but I just do all the payments once off at the start of each year, and I know that I'm done for that next year.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. That actually makes a lot of sense. Thank you, thank you. That's accepted. Haroon, you want to come through? You've got your hand raised.
Yeah, just one more question. I don't know if I missed it earlier. So a little scenario like on my side, I took over in 2019. So I have a retail license since I took over as a new owner. And then the old owner had an old retail license for that same site. Now, the old owner, she sent me the invoice that's been accruing since 2019 to say the license needs to be paid, and they're sending her letters that she owes money. What happens here? Are we supposed to cancel that old retail license, or what's the procedure? Thank you.
That's a good question. Thank you for that, Haroon. Zanel or Boitumelo?
I think I'm going to allow Boitumelo at least to answer.
Um, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies for joining in late. If I got the question correctly, the old retailer is still getting letters to request annual fee payment. Now, what happens is that in 2019, when a new retailer started operating the site, the previous one was supposed to surrender his license to the controller, and it was supposed to be deactivated on our system. So in essence, he or she is not supposed to be still getting letters requesting annual fees to be made. This is a standalone case, if I can put it that way, which will need to be dealt with separately by our system or our IT section, if I can put it that way. So we would request the license number of the one that is no longer on site. Then we would engage our IT to ensure that it's indeed deactivated and the request letters are no longer being sent to them. Thank you. So can you just email us that license number, and then we'll take it forward.
Okay, fantastic. There we go. We got a solution there. AE Utrecht, next question. I'm writing regarding the payment of our annual license fee. We have made several attempts to contact Zanele for assistance, but unfortunately, they have not received any feedback. We are also not receiving any response from DMRE office in KwaZulu-Natal. We eventually received a letter stating that our account is in arrears for 1,500. This is despite the fact that all required submissions were made and completed. I have formally requested a reconciliation of our account. However, to date, no response has been received. Please note that our operation is located more than 300 kilometers away from the head office, which makes in-person follow-ups extremely difficult. Could you please advise on the correct person to engage? Zanel, I think the real challenge here is being 300 kilometers away and having a line of sight in terms of communication. You want to respond to that?
I think this one we can also request that they email their retail license number so that we can engage with the regional director, Mr. Chisikawe, to see and assist to allocate this payment, and we will send the reconciliation invoice as well.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for that. Ursula, you've got your hand up. You want to come through?
Good day. Stephen van Zyl, Ursula's son. Earlier we spoke about me taking over my father's shares, and I'm very involved in the business at on site and everything also. So the question comes in, if my mother had to pass, and I would have to try to apply for a license, knowing the regulations and stuff. Is that where we'll have to apply and see where I qualify or don't qualify?
That's a good question. What happens in the future? Boitumelo or Zanel?
So this one, in terms of inheriting the retailing business, you will have to apply for a retail change of hands, and there you will have to comply with the charter, which control and management, which is ownership, should be at least 25% by historically disadvantaged South African. So it's something that you can start planning for future on how you can plan to acquire the 25%.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we will have to start planning because my mother is also getting of age that we need to start these things. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Let's move on. We've got Helzema, volumes declared on the annual submission form. Is the calendar year referring to Jan to December 2025 or your financial year? Please clarify what period that is, Zanel.
It's January to December 2025.
There we go. Thank you very much. Bank details for payment will appear on the invoice. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What is the address in Cape Town? Those details appear in the chat box. We have continuous in-house training. Is that sufficient, or do I list that as well?
Yes, it is insufficient. The in-house training, it is insufficient. Yeah, you
It
can
is sufficient.
indicate. Yes,
It is
you
sufficient.
can indicate it.
All right, fantastic. So that training will count, and you can record that. From Tertia Kruger, I just want to clarify if I understand correctly then. If nothing has changed regarding information provided on last year's charter, we do not have to submit a charter this year.
Okay.
Sure. Okay.
So what you do, you write a declaration stating that ownership in the business has not changed. That's all if there were no changes. And if really there are changes, you will need to do a separate application, which will be an amendment or a retail change of hands.
Okay, fantastic. A question from Dion. Okay, that's contact details. That's in the chat box. Contact details from Mpumalanga and Limpopo is in the chat box. Louis says, sorry, Mike is troubling. Liquid fuels charter has not been finalized. I guess that's the question he's really asking. If the charter is not being finalized, are we using elements of the charter for compliance? That's really what he's asking. Perhaps Boitumelo or Zanel?
Yes, the sector codes are not finalized, but the liquid fuels charter, it is finalized. So it's different. We're still using the liquid fuels charter, which refer to historically disadvantaged South African. The petroleum sector codes are not yet finalized, which will refer to the BEE. So we're still on the historically disadvantaged South African.
Okay, fantastic. I see in the chat box as well, you'll notice you've got details of Zanel, direct email address, and Boitumelo. They are currently responding to you online. So if you'd like to raise a question directly with them, The email address is in the chat box as well. You can copy that and keep it for future reference. There's a question from Kefilo. Hi Vishal, I missed the first part. What are the conditions that has to be met? Okay, we're not going to go through that whole exercise. The presentation is in the chat box. You can access that in the chat box, and you can pick up on all of the discussions. And if you have any queries, you can raise those queries. Mariki, you want to come through?
Yeah, I will be sending out the recording link that's going to be posted on our YouTube channel.
As well. Okay, there we go. Mariki will be sharing the recording link so you can pick up on the entire discussion as well and all of the questions that, were posed through the session. Inga, just to confirm, we may pay upfront each year per license by using the license number as a reference. Yes, you may. Then Boitumelo for the retail license. I'm not sure I understand that question. I'm going to move past that. Suggestion is it not best the department have a dedicated accounts department with contact number and email address instead of dealing with the respective consultant in the province? That's a straight question. Any considerations there, Zanel?
We do not have a consultant which are appointed by the department. That's why if you see, we're giving you the officials email address and contact details. You have to deal with us directly. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And there's one more question I see in the chat box from Michelle. I still seem to be a bit confused about the amendments requirements. No change in business name, reg number, address, brand, etc. Just share change from my family members. I sent an amendment letter request last year, already sharing the new CK documents, and to date, no response. This is very confusing, especially for small family-run fuel stations that has been in operation for more than 30 years. So I think it's a frustration about the process, and maybe there's some assistance from Zanel or Boitumelo in regards to that.
Okay, I think the question is it's also confusing because Michelle, she's saying that no change in business name, registration number, address, brand, etc. Just share change from family member. Yes. Remember, the business is not it's a juristic person. So once one member leaves the business, you need to inform the controller. If the shareholding now is going to one person, so that we can know that Zanel now is a majority shareholder of the business. She's no longer with Boitumelo in the business. Or if you are adding another family member who was not part of the business, that you need to apply for. And we will request that Michelle provide her license number, because she's indicating that they did not get any response since last year, so that we can look into it.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. I'm suspecting you heard that. So kindly respond in that regard. We have another hand raised, and that's from Malani. Malani, you want to come through? Unmute.
Hi, Vishal. Thank you. So now I just want to double check on the retail submission documents, the declaration on page 5, the new Word one that's also sent through, does that now replace the one for page 5, or does both need to be completed for the submission?
They both need to be submitted. The declaration on page 5, it's a declaration to indicate that the information that you completed with the application form, it's you acknowledge that it's correct. And then the other declaration, that's where you're declaring if there are changes in the business or no changes in the business.
Okay, noted. Thanks so much.
Okay, Malani, you covered, right?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. There's no more questions in the chat box. Okay, someone wants to come through. You want to raise your hand? Okay, we don't have anyone. All right. There we go. Okay, so it's Ian. Ian, you want to come through?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I just want to clarify in the case of site license change, where there's the site gets a new owner, and there must be now a site transfer of the license. Does that also fall under the charter requirements?
Okay, great question.
No, it does not fall under the charter requirement for a site license. So you apply for a site transfer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, then I think we're nearing the end. I see no more hands raised, and there's definitely no more questions in the chat box. If that is the case, I would like to hand over to Henry to conduct the closing. Henry?
Thanks, Michelle. I really appreciate this session. Zanele and Botomela joined later. Thank you very much. I think a lot of information that we needed is there. I think a big thing is communication, and if we've got the right email address, I think we can solve a lot of issues. But thanks for the time, Michelle, Mariki. Thanks for arranging this meeting. Everybody attending, we really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you to everyone that attended. Thank you to the team that presented. From our side, you will receive more communication as Mariki normally sends out. So look out for that communication, because there's very valuable information in there. Sorry, before we proceed, there's one more question came through at the last second. If the holding company name has not changed, but we are rebranded, do we need a new license certificate? So now,
If the holding company, I will assume, is the entity which appear on the license certificate, is not changing, but you are changing from one brand to another, you don't have to apply for a license. What you need to do, you need to write us a letter to inform us that you are revamping the site, and you also need to specify the time frame it will take you to revamp the site. And if you will require extension, you also submit the letter. Then once the revamp is done, then you can continue with operation.
okay, thank you for that. So now there's one more. Please send details of this meeting presentation and frequently asked questions. Okay, that's in the chat box. We will definitely send a lot of information following this session. So there will be a lot of information to follow. There was a hand raised just a second ago, and it's gone down again.
No, it's not
Okay.
gone.
Okay, go for it.
It's Boitumelo.
Go for it, Boitumelo.
Thank you. I just wanted to add on the issue of revamping. What I want to caution the retailers is that once, or if your site is undergoing revamp, please do not change the forecourt, the entrances and the exits, because now if those are changed, you would agree with me that it changes the market area completely. So if that is found, then compliance will get involved. Then you might have to reapply, and it will not even be considered or be much of an impact that the site was there before, as there could be other new sites which might have been in the pipeline or being approved in the process of you applying for a new to industry retail license. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Thanks so much, Boitumelo. And then I see there's just a comment there from Anton. I'm not able to get the presentation in the chat box. Anton, if you can't access it, that's not a problem. Mariki will be sharing, full details of the meeting in a separate mail from here on out. So everyone will have access to all of that, including, like she mentioned, the actual recording of the session. There's a hand raised from Heini Boshoff. Heini?
Hi, good morning, everybody. No, good afternoon, sorry. We have got a site in Paarl, and this place is expanding at quite a rate at the moment. I want to know, there was a site that opened up about 2 years ago, just down the road from us, and our sales have dropped dramatically, basically half of what we did before. And there's a site across the road from us, same scenario. And I understand that there are some more sites that's earmarked for Southern Paarl specifically. It seems as if the licenses are being granted without taking note of the effect it has on existing businesses. What and who can we raise that with, to say that's just, can we not put a hold on new sites, specifically in smaller towns? It's very difficult to stay afloat at the moment.
Boitumelo or Zanel?
While you're talking, I'm thinking of another application which was in Paarl, which I cannot say the details due to Popeye. But in response to the question that's been asked, or the comment, is that please ensure that you take advantage of objections. If you are aware that there's an application that has been put to the controller for consideration, exercise the objection time that is given by the controller. If for some reason you have missed the objection period, the controller still accepts the objections, even though they will be noted that they are received late. Alternatively, should you have missed the period to object during the application process, before the license is issued, you can approach the minister and make or lodge an appeal. It doesn't mean that appeals are only exercised on refused applications, but they are exercised on any decision that the controller has taken, either it's approval or refusal. If you still do not get joy out of the appeal process, you are welcome to even take the matter up to the courts. Lately, we have been receiving a lot of litigations which are coming from applications that have been approved, and now the competitors around the area are taking the controller to court, or they are going to the minister to appeal the controller's decision. The advantage with that is that the initial decision that the controller would have taken will be suspended up until the appeal is finalized, or the court matter has been finalized and the court has decided on the matter. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Before I take the next hand that is raised, I see we've opened up a new round of questions, but that's fine because that's what we're here for. There's a follow-up response to one of the previous questions, which says we only rebranded, no structural changes. We listed our brand name change on last year's submission form already. Sanal or Boitumelo?
Vishal, I would like to emphasize again, remember, annual submission, it's in terms of its own regulation, and change of details, it's in terms of its own regulation. So as well informing the controller. So when you do that during annual submission, please also write a separate letter, because our system cater for these things differently. So if the revamp happens, you need to write a letter, you can send it via email. As well for the changes, you can send it via email. But anything which is application form must be hand delivered. So I would like to emphasize that for any changes, please submit a separate letter when you're doing your annual submission as well. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Malani, in that order, your hand first. Malani, your question.
Hi, Vishal. Sorry for the last minute question. It's just with regards to the site license, not necessarily the retail license, which I'm not sure is covered today specifically, but maybe they can just help. So we are waiting a new printed site license, because we have been busy with the site license transfer for the past 5 years, which is really struggling to come through. However, last year, the last feedback that we got was that they haven't been printing new licenses. This was in September. No new licenses have been printed to date since the relocation of the Cape Town office in April 2024. Are they back online in terms of getting the site licenses printed, or is there still a delay for the site licenses?
Zanel?
We actually had a delay of printing licenses when our department split, because we had to get the new department's name on our licenses. So that's the only time we were not printing. So if maybe you fall within that space when
Sorry, sorry, Zanel. Sorry, Zanel. Someone's unmuted. Sorry. There we go. Okay, Zanel, please continue.
Yes. So unless if your license fall within the time frame when we were splitting, please send us an email so that we can check for you as well. But I think your license might have been sorted out. It's just to contact the regional office.
Okay, thank you for that. We have another question from Vernon. Vernon, you want to come through?
Hi, yes, afternoon. I've joined a little bit late, but I just want to check, why can't we, maybe the question has been answered, but why can't we submit our yearly licenses online? I mean, we in the new ages, I mean, obviously that will be easier than, complete it, get it stamped by SARS, by SAPS, and send it by Postnet or wherever.
Okay, we kind of covered this previously, but I'll allow one of the ladies from the department to answer, either Boitumelo or Ursula. Excuse me, Zanel.
You can send your annual submission through courier if you are unable to go to our regional offices. We do not accept applications sent via email, but you can courier it. You can use post office. You can use the private courier services that is allowed.
Okay, thank you very much. There's an interesting question from Jani Erasmus. Small towns have a very limited number of people they can service, and dividing the pie in 1 million pieces is helping no one. Proper homework should be done. I guess this is talking to the size of the retail environment. Any comment on that, either Boitumelo or Zanel?
We take note of that, and we agree as well that the pie gets smaller by the day. Being in head office, we get to see, because we have a holistic view of what is happening. Hence, when new applications are being processed or are being submitted to the controller, a site visit gets conducted by one of the regional directors from the area where the proposed site is meant to be. This is purposefully done to assess how small this pie is or how big it is. And then that report forms part of the recommendations which are made to the controller whether to grant or to refuse a license application. Thank you.
Okay, it is controversial, so I'll leave that one there. Louis, if a retail license application was denied, but the reasons were corrected, should the license then be granted? Is it unfair to do subsequent evaluations and deny for different reasons which were not an initial problem but are now raised? Who wants to take that one? Boitumelo or Zanel?
I think this would be or touched on when I was talking about revamping, that when you apply and your application gets refused, unfortunately, in certain instances, you might find that there are other potential competitors who would apply in between that that time where you are refused and you come to lodge. Then your application unfortunately would not be considered favorable unless the refusal was based on other reasons which are not market related. Another trend that we have is that you can come and apply today for one filling station, and then the same entity applies for another filling station in a different area. But the second one gets refused, then you'll come and say, but Bitumelo, it's still the same entity that is applying. But you forget the part that the shareholding and the control might have changed. So from analysis point of view, the dynamics are no longer the same. Then it means that your HDSA, your historically disadvantaged South African score, could have now gone less. Hence, your application would have not been considered favorable. So the reasons differ from one application to the next, or one scenario to the next. Zanel wants to add something.
Sure. Zanel? I think you muted.
Sorry.
There
Yes,
we go.
I'm muted. So I also want to add in terms of where an application was denied and you done the corrections. It's either the corrections were done through appeal. So when you appeal, you will be required to provide information that we did not have when we processed the application. Then we will be provided with the new information. The reason why you will find it is unfair for us to decline you for a different reason than what we did the first time. It's because now we also have new information that has come that we did not have it when we decline. Or you might have been declined and you decide that, no, I'm not going to appeal. I'm just going to correct what they said I did not do. And through your correction, you still find that there's new information that we did not have previously. So the new information might be the one which is causing us to decline for a different reason. Thank you, Vishal.
Okay, fantastic. I see there's a comment here. How long does it take to correct a spelling fault on the site license if all documents is handed in? At my offices, my surname is spelled incorrectly. I think we have dealt with this one previously where we said in addition to your submission that you must send an email as well to, rectify or request the rectification of the surname being spelled incorrectly. The last comment, it's also in big town, 6 stations in a 2-kilometer radius since I have been in business. Clearly, we have a problem, and I think the department has recognized that there is an issue in the industry in terms of the number of sites being developed. That has been addressed, and I think the department has acknowledged and recognized that, from their perspective, that industry has a problem in terms of the number of sites that are out there. Are there any other questions before we, for the second time, shut the session down? Any other hands that need to be raised? Use the opportunity while you have it. Any further questions? Looks like we covered. Okay, then with that, I'm going to say thank you to everyone for participating. As confirmed earlier, all information will be shared with everyone in a subsequent email from Mariki. So look out for that. If you have any other queries, please raise them through the SAPRA office. We thank you for your time and appreciate your patience, and have a good afternoon, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.